Well, hey, how you doing? Good, come on in, come on in, come on in. Welcome to PS Audio. This is our virtual tour. This is where we normally start the tour. This is engineering. If you can take a look around, we have two sections to engineering. One is all the cubicles, the famous little cubicles, where all the engineers work. And our company is almost half of the 50 people that work here are in the engineering department. And we have, and I'll show you the various desks, we have, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, programming, just you name it, and we have it here from Tex. And I'll show you all that. But first, here's something that I'm going to turn the lights off, and I want to show you something that I love to show people. This is a Tesla coil. And Nikola Tesla was one of my personal heroes. He and Edison had a big fight over the kind of electricity that we use. And Edison wanted battery voltage to run the thing, which is ludicrous. And Tesla wanted AC. And what he did was come up with a way that you can create any level of voltage that you want, from 10 volts to millions of volts. And you do that through these coils. So if you can see over here, this Tesla coil, this is what's called the primary, and these pipes on here are the input coil. That's where we put the 110 volts, and this is the secondary coil, and there's a couple of million turns on that. So let me grab the light here, and bingo. All right, so watch what happens when I turn this on. Woo! All right. Jesus. All right, so one of the problems with having that much high voltage, aside from freaking everybody in the room out and computers get unhappy, makes a lot of ozone, which is that fresh smell after a lightning storm. Here, it smells fresh, but enough of it'll kill you. So, all right, we're gonna, let's move on. This first section is, who's peeking their head over there? That's Steve. Poor Steve's. Steve's our production engineer, and he gets, once we design a product and get it through the prototyping stage, then it has to be production engineered so that we can actually manufacture the product. And that's what Steve's job is. This is normally a very busy place, and these two areas here are mechanical engineering, and Chet and Bill would sit here. They all kind of work from home now, which is odd. We've become Zoom fans. But come on over here and we'll walk you through the area. So mechanical engineering, and then this is loudspeaker engineering, and you can see all kinds of cool stuff here. Like, for instance, this is where Chris Brunhaver sits. He's our speaker engineer. This is a passive radiator, and you can see this is just it's a big block of material and a surround, and inside a cabinet you'd have a woofer that's moving back and forth, and the pressure of the woofer moves this back and forth according to the surround, and the amount of mass on here controls what frequency is radiated out into the room through this port. Here's another version. You can see more of these ports, and it looks kind of like a speaker, but it's actually completely passive. It has no motor on it, and you'll see that in our new project, the FR30. Oh my God. This is not a lightweight woofer. This is the kind of woofer that'll be inside the FR30, and you can see it's got a massive magnet. And this is just a trim ring out here, make it look real pretty. But this is quite a work of art. This took well over a year to design this. We don't use any off-the-shelf drivers. These are all designed custom by Chris. So that's a pretty massive piece of speaker stuff. There's even more over here we can show you. This is a ribbon mid-range. This is a 10-inch ribbon mid-range. And when we go upstairs and I show you the Irs Room, I'll tell you more about ribbons and how they work and whatnot. But these are magnets on the front and on the back, and inside is a thin diaphragm with a voice coil wrapped around the diaphragm. And then here's the little tweeter. And you can see that's a ribbon tweeter. There's the back of it. That's our little logo on there. So all kinds of fun stuff here for loudspeakers. But this is just one little section. And as we move over here, this is where Darren Meyer's desk. Now Darren is our resident crazy audiophile. He's like the young Paul McGowan, who has the greatest engineering chops and the ears and the ability to know what he wants in a design, how he wants it to sound, and then the ability to actually design that in. So here's a board that, let's see if I can even see what this is. Here's a board he's working on. This would be a phono stage. And you can see if I can get a little close, all these components on here. These are rel caps, and these are connectors out here. These are heat sinks. So this would be the power supply area. Spot regulators all over the board. These kinds of FETs produce a lot of heat, and that's why they're kind of big. This is the kind of board that Darren would be working on. And I don't know, what else we got here? Parts. We listen to every single part that goes into these products. So this kind of capacitor, that's a 0.15 microfarad, these get listened to. And the construction of the capacitor has a lot to do with the way it sounds. So you might have one kind of capacitor that uses a Teflon for its surface, and another might use mylar or polypropylene for the insulator. And for the conductor, we might have foil, we might have it metallized, but we go through, because every one of them has a different sound to it. So it's really important when you want to make products that you control how it sounds, how musical it gets. You have to be able to be in control of every part, know what they do, and how that works. So that's Darren's area. Here is our chief engineer, Bob Stather. Bob Stather is just an amazing all-around engineer. He's designed most of PS Audio's products, from the Perfect Wave DAC to all the entire G series. Bob did all that design work, and he and I worked together. Now Bob's not an audiophile, where Darren is an audiophile. So when Bob designs something, me or Darren get out and we do the listening and tell him, I think it needs a little more here or there. And Bob will go out and make that change. So you have to learn in any kind of environment like this, you have to learn the skills of each person and then be able to apply those skills in a way. So Bob's brilliant on circuit design, but again, he's not an audiophile. He hears, but it's just not within his purview of doing that. So here, this is, Terry freaks out about this, but this is our junk corner. I mean, it's an engineering department, and engineers are pack rats. So we pack rat everything. I mean, I don't know why this is here, but I mean, look at this. This is a heat sink. This thing probably weighs 20 pounds. I mean, it's a solid piece of aluminum. Now these are extruded, kind of like a tube of toothpaste. When you squeeze a tube of toothpaste, out comes the form. And when we want to make a heat sink, you have a giant machine that heats up aluminum, presses it, and squeezes it through a die, and this comes out. And then you whack off this section, and then we do all this machining on the back. So this particular heat sink is for a P20, as you can see, and it's just another component. I don't even know why it's sitting here. Here's a small heat sink. So this was extruded out this way, and then we just chop that off. This goes probably into a P12 power plant. Here's a bunch of finishes that we're experimenting with, a new process called Cerakoting. Normally, we use a very special customized powder coat paint that gives us this silver and this black. And we have it specially formulated with a little secret in it. We put a little bit of paraffin wax into the paint, into the powder coat, so that when you touch it, you don't leave fingerprints. And little stuff like that that you learn over the years is really, I don't know, it's just kind of the cool stuff that happens when a company's been around for 45 years. You just pick up all these little tricks, because on a number of products out there, and you'll notice maybe some of the products that you have at home, if you start getting your meaty paws onto this thing, you get fingerprints all over it. So that just stops it. And Cerakoting does it in a completely different way, but that's some of the stuff detail-wise that we look into. So anyway, our junk cabinet. Come on this way. And if you can get an overview, normally, again, this is all programming up here. Steve's way back there in production engineering. So every day, back when days were normal and we weren't all wearing masks and there wasn't all this COVID crazy stuff, this would be where we'd have the stand-up meetings. So, and we left this board up. It's a year old. And in our stand-up meetings, you can see, here's Bill, Tom, Jordan, Darren, Kevin, Chris, everybody's name. And here's all the tasks that they have going, and the different colors assigned to them tell you whether they're being stopped or whether they're working. And these are the task lists. So every morning they would stand up in a big powwow and what's getting in your way, what's working, what isn't working. And because at any one time we've got 7 to 10 new product projects in process, and there's a lot that goes into it. The average product process here runs about a year. So from concept, let's make a preamp, to you can go out and buy that, is typically about a year. Some go as long as 3, some are as short as maybe 8 months, but that's about how long it takes to make it. Over here is, this is actually, come on in here. This is kind of cool. I'll show you in a little bit. We'll take you upstairs into the Octave Records studio. But we're in the process of building a new studio, and we bought this beautiful, well, ain't too beautiful right now, but you can see this is a Steinway Grand. It's a full grand, not a concert grand, but a full grand. So this bad boy is going to be going into the Octave Records studio once we get that completed. But right now, she's just sitting here collecting dust. All right, let me show you my office. Nothing impressive. Come on in. This is the big honcho's office in here. I get the corner suite, right? This is where I usually hang out. And of course now I rarely am here since I'm working from home. But I'll come in 2 or 3 days a week, just try and keep my toes in the game. And then out this door is our photo studio. This is really cool because you can see, and here we've got a product we're going to do some shooting on. We do all of our own product photography, and this, I don't know if you can see this, but this is my baby. This sucker is a full digital high resolution view camera. And I don't know how many of you know, I'm sort of a photo nerd. And so a view camera is a way, Ansel Adams used to use a view camera, the kind where you throw a cloth over your head. And this just has a digital camera on it. But I can do swings and tilts, I can do all kinds of things to capture perfectly the products. And then here's just the lights and all that. Probably not that interesting, but it is to me because, again, I'm just kind of a photo nerd. All right, let's head this way into the lab. Right past the bathrooms, into here. So this is the engineering lab. And here's a couple of slackers here. What are we doing? Oh, we're filling out the football. Come on over here and see this illegal betting going on here. You know. So, Dave, what are you betting on?
Well, I'm going to take one of the NFC, and it's just sheer luck. I don't have any. I don't have any idea what I'm actually.
And this is the criminal Lou here.
I don't have
Lou runs our production, and he takes everybody's money and right.
I get a fee for it.
And he gets a fee for it.
And then we don't see him for.
Now we don't allow betting here, so I'll tell you right now, you didn't see any of this. Nobody knows anything. It's completely illegal. We won't go there, right? So. I know. Put here. See, the money's on the table.
Hey, Lou, here you go.
So, this area is where we do a combination of things. So Dave is working on a what is that? Is that a 300, Dave?
This is a 700.
A 700. All right.
Yeah.
So there's the that's an M700. And what are you doing to it?
Well, the customer said that it trips at a very low load, so
okay.
I'm just trying to monitor it, and then I'm probably going to replace the ice
module. Yeah.
It's probably nothing.
So what is this plugged in? Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's,
okay.
It's sparky. I wouldn't.
So this is what we call an ice module, which is a Class D module made from a company in Denmark that we use, and that's the actual power amplifier. And this is the input stage, where the audio comes in. We perform our magic to make it sound great, and you can see in here, this is the analog gain cell in here. And it goes from here into the power amp and then back out. Pretty simple circuit, but it took so if you look at that, I was telling you earlier, it takes about a year to go from product concept to finished product. And you'd think, well, what the hell? You got a box, you got a board and a couple of jacks, right? How could that take a year? But it does. It continually boggles my mind, but there's so many processes and certifications and engineering that goes into this to make everything fit and make it all work. It's something else. So, all right.
Yeah, we're
taking care of biz. And this is Larry. And Larry, what are you up to?
I am testing this product that is a return.
So that's a BHK preamp.
BHK preamp that before I spend time on trying to recreate the wheel, I say, where am I failing?
Mm-hmm.
And it did fail, but I'm continuing the process so that I don't. So I know what's wrong with it, and then try to troubleshoot, fix whatever I need to do to make it happy.
So if you don't like the results, do you take this thing and beat the crap out of it? Is that why
this is for me? That's to try to help me get my head straight, so I can think straight.
So what Larry's testing on here is a product. If you can come in here, you can take a closer look at this. This innocent little thing is called an Audio Precision. They're about $30,000, and we've got multiple $30,000 units running around here. But this is a completely, it can be an automated test station, but mostly Larry uses it to tell things like up here, if we can look and see what kind of noise levels we have,
right,
what kind of gains we have.
As you can see, this one's past our mark. Our marks are here, and this tells me, okay, it has failed this test. It also failed another test on the same channel. So I could pretty much say that in this case, it's channel 2. There's something wrong with channel 2.
Mm-hmm.
So technically, I can be done now, but I'm going to ignore this and see if there's any other stuff that may be wrong with it.
All right. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah.
So come on over here, and we'll. This is the workbench area of our chief engineer, Bob Stather, and we're not in engineering here. People leave their benches the way they are. I mean, my wife is horrified. Like, clean that up. But that's not what engineers do. We like the stuff the way we like the stuff, right? I mean, my bench gets cleaned when I start a project, and by the end of the project, it is absolute utter chaos. And Bob has his own Audio Precision in here, and all his test equipment. You see people running around here with these things all the time. These these magnifying hoods are, you know, especially for old shits like me, I can't see much, so this really helps. Makes you look like a total goon, but hey, you know what? We're engineers. We are total goons. So come on over here. Let's see what else we got going. Oh,
howdy.
Who's this criminal here? This is TJ. TJ, what are you working on?
PWT. It's freezing up. I'm testing that right now.
Okay. And you don't carry along a sledgehammer to teach it a lesson?
Yeah, a little more precise than that.
Okay.
Screwdrivers and wrenches.
So, and if you have ever interacted with customer service, TJ might have been one of the people that you spoke with. Mark and TJ pretty much run our customer service department. And TJ is a tech and also writes very nice emails.
You try.
Yeah, you try. So, and that's Larry's bench over here, and then we can move. Here's one of our products. Now this is, here's a form that says this is whatever we need to do to this. This is a P20 power plant, and this is so far one of the biggest products, well, it is the biggest product that we make. This is an AC power regenerator. And for those, I think it's, let's see if I can turn that around. And you can see, oh, maybe I can't, okay. There you go. So a power regenerator takes the AC in from the wall, converts it to DC, which is what Edison liked, and then we reconvert it back to low distortion, perfectly regulated AC, and that comes out of this. And it is amazing in the way that it improves the sound of your stereo system. I mean, it really is. It really is something else extraordinary. Our friend Michael Fremer of Stereophile, he's a reviewer at Stereophile, called it a panic the other day. In fact, you'll read about this pretty soon. I don't know when this video is coming out, but Michael lives in New Jersey, and on the East Coast there were a number of power outages. And during those power outages, Michael was out of business, so a lot of people installed emergency power. And he installed this emergency power generator, and they have this automatic switch that all the power runs through. Well, what happened was, as soon as Michael turned on, that all got installed, he turned on his stereo system, and like, Gah! It was awful. He was devastated. So he called us after he tried everything and said, I can't listen to my stereo anymore. Send me one of your regenerators. We sent him a couple of these, totally fixed the problem, and made it sound better. And you'll read about that review. But these are amazing products, and no audiophile should be without an AC regenerator. All right, enough of this shameless plug. Come on over this way. These are more benches over here, and I want to show you something. Various stages. This is where Jordan works, and if you can, I don't want to mess him up, but Jordan is our engineering tech, so he doesn't fix things, but he builds things. So this is a brand new board, and this is a new direct stream DAC that we've been working on. It's been in the skunk works for a couple of years now, and look at these little tiny parts. If one of you can zoom in a little bit and see it. See how small those parts are? These are called surface mount parts. And this chip here has 300 legs on it. You can't see them because the legs are all underneath. And it takes an X-ray machine to precision locate this and then solder it down. So I'll show you here, we don't have, we send those out to be done. So here, when a technician works on it, like Jordan, he's got to take this microscope and to be able to see the parts. And you can see the tools he has over here. Now, back in my day, we could actually see the damn parts. I mean, they were good sized resistors and all that. But everything's gone to surface mount. Some of our products still use what we call through-hole parts, which are the bigger parts that I can actually see. And so these parts are just tiny. I mean, let's see if I can show you. This is all kind. When you get on a real tour here, you get to see it. So this is a capacitor. You can see it's a whole group of them. These are capacitors. So these are fairly large capacitors. I can't even see what value they are because I can't see anything anymore. But these are just tiny surface mount parts, and that's probably a several hundred microfarad capacitor. So the world has changed rather dramatically. But so anyway, that's basically our engineering department. I'm gonna, if I don't kill you guys here backing up, I'll slide past you. This is, once something has been repaired, we bring them in here, we burn them in, we make sure that they're working properly before they get sent to the customer. We take them back, retest them, and then out for packaging. And this area, this is kind of cool. When we work on a new product, this sort of prototype shop is where most of the work is done. And just some basic tools. You've got a lathe, you've got a CNC machine, a punch, drills, and all that. And when we work on new products, we have to have what we call test fixtures that we send to the CMs, the contract manufacturers. So this is a test fixture to where they will take a board and they set it down on here, and then they run it through one of those APs, the audio precisions, and they run it through all the tests to see if the board is good, and they pop the board off, put another one on. This is the power supply that runs it. And these are being created for a product that I don't think anybody knows about. And you, because you're watching our virtual tour, you're going to get the world premiere of this newest product, which is called the BHK 600. Look at this beast. This is the single heaviest piece of equipment we have ever built. Now, this is how we do stuff, because this is really a P20 chassis, and you can see there's a window, because there will be no window here. But so we just take parts that we have and we build it up. But if you have a chance, come inside here and take a look. This is a mono 600 watt power amplifier, and look at the detail on this. See these? These are gold plated bus bars, and they're connected up, if you can see closely. See this copper braid? That's going down. This whole thing here is the power supply, and there's rows and rows and rows of transistors, and you might recognize this heat sink, which is the same heat sink that I showed you. And these spaces here, these are all going to be populated. This box full of capacitors, you know, they have yet to start plugging them in, but you can see this will be completely filled with these giant caps. These are 12,000 microfarads each at 80 volts, and there's, like I say, there's a whole damn box full of them that are eventually going to be put in here, and that's just the power supply. The channels themselves are on these sides, on these heat sinks. So this will be a beast. I mean, this thing is 120 something pounds. It is massive. So that's kind of the fun stuff for me, to be able to come in and see, you know, and we get to move this, change that, which is really cool. And this project has taken, we're over a year trying to get this done. But you can imagine the complexity of something like this. All right, so enough of that. Let's go upstairs and see Octave Records. Come on with me. Now, if you thought engineers were messy, wait till you see our friend Gus Skinnis and the recording studio. Come on inside. This is more than just chaos in here. It is something that warms my heart. I mean, over here you've got a ARP synthesizer just kind of hanging out. Here's another synthesizer just sort of sitting here. This is a bit of a treasure. This is the mixing board, a Studer mixing board from Neil Young. So we bought this from Neil, and it's a gorgeous board. And we sit here and we do our mixes on it. This is the Sonoma system over here that you can see. And if I were to, in fact, we are in the middle of a mix. This is a new artist called Danny Schaefer. He ain't new, he's old, but but the music is for Octave. So we can start, you can see, here's all the tracks that you can see on the Sonoma system. And then if I were to hit this,
I know you love.
and we mix it here so we can have his voice.
I can see how.
And let's see where his voice is.
How much. Let's talk it out.
So we actually make the mix right here and then record it onto DSD. So we go DSD, analog, back through an A to D converter and back to DSD. So this is really cool. And then we have to run it over to the Irs Room and we listen to see how we did on that. So it's an involved process, and we are in the process of building an entirely new studio that's going to be a few months, because it's temporary, it's kind of crowded. So let's head out this way and I'll show you the other part of the studio. For those of you that watch my videos, you've probably seen me, I come up here a lot and make videos. This is the mastering room, and we have another Sonoma system here. We have an original Moog vintage Moog. These things are incredibly expensive. The real ones, there's fake ones, but this is a real Moog synthesizer from Robert Moog years and years ago, and Gus collects all this stuff. I mean, for anybody that's into synths, you'll recognize this immediately as being just totally awesome. So this room is where everything is mastered and sometimes recorded. We can bring artists up here and we can record them. Sometimes we record them down in the warehouse. It's a bit of a CF right now, but we're building a whole new studio. So this is essentially Octave Records, and it's growing. We're doing pretty well with it. So come on down. I'll show you something really boring, the warehouse. Oh, and here, again, we're all over the map, right? This is a Leslie, which is basically a big speaker for a Hammond B3 organ, and then there's a Hammond B3 organ right behind it that you can see. And a Leslie is a speaker for an organ that has a big stirring thing, because you hear this whoa, whoa, whoa. It's just a big paddle on a motor in here that breaks up the sound, and that's when you hear a Leslie, you hear that whoa, 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 whoa. On a Hammond B3, that's how that happens, by a Leslie. So when we need an organ, we haul this dude out, fire it up, and record it. This is our warehouse, and one of two warehouses. Mostly here are raw parts. So we bring the parts in from our subcontractors, which involve circuit boards, chassis parts. We assemble them in boxes all over the place. If we have a band that comes in, as soon as the crew goes home, this is where the band goes, right here. We leave this space open. And over here you can see our little spy camera, so we can watch the drummer or whatever, and here's the A to D converter used for it. So it's quite a multi-purpose room. So not much else to see here. We're going to run out and I'll introduce you to the man who is responsible for all of our shipping. Hey, you! This is Tim.
Hello, welcome.
So Tim, what the hell do you do here?
I ship everything under the sun that I can, all over the world.
And he does, boy.
And I do, a lot of it. Yes.
So a lot of this here is finished goods. Like this is what we call finished goods. These are whatever the heck they are. I don't know what this is. These are phonos. This is a phono stage. So these are Stellar phono boxes. They're ready to go to the customer. I don't know why they're here, but here they are. What do we got here? Oh, this is Paul, me, the books. So here's 1,000 books that just came in, the Audiophiles Guide. Another shameless plug. Buy this book. You're going to love it. Tell you all about how to set your stereo up. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, and we got to get rid of them. So hustle up and buy one. So come on this way. I'll take you back to something even more boring, the accounting and administrative area. But, you know, these are all chassis, just so you can see. So here's an assembled chassis. Now we assemble, you can see it's kind of empty. The reason we assemble these, and you see it just like this, is so that when these go to paint, this powder coat paint, we want the surfaces in their flow and their color to be exactly identical as if they are one piece. Well, the only really way to do that is to actually assemble them and take this entire piece and paint it as one piece. That's the secret to why it looks so seamless, because it is. So that's a chassis for probably, I don't know what, maybe a transport. And here's more chassis. All of these are waiting to go into production. So in this area is, normally this is completely filled. This is our purchasing department where Woody and Dan, Woody runs all the production, Dan does all the purchasing, and that's a huge job. We have thousands and thousands of parts that all have to be accounted for, that have to be ordered, because if we're building a product and we run out of a screw, we're stopped, dead in the water. And some of our parts have 6-month lead times. So we have to guess how many we're going to need and be pretty accurate at it, and not have so many because they're expensive, and not so little that we can't actually build them. So this is a really artful, tough job. In here is where my lovely wife Terry normally hangs out, and this is HR. And in here is accounting. Ashton is normally in here. And here, ladies and gentlemen, the most important person in the entire...
The one that brings in the money.
The one that brings in the money and sends it all out.
Yeah.
This is
he goes out faster and comes in.
This is Keenan.
Yep.
And Keenan
Fantastic.
is amazing. I want to show you Keenan's map. So, how many marathons?
It was a lot of them.
I know.
It was almost 200, yeah.
200 marathons.
But that's pre-pandemic. Sad life.
Yeah, and
Yep.
Keenan is one of the only people in the world, one of the few people in the world,
few.
that has done 8 continents in 8 days.
Yep, gotta count New Zealand, the fake continent, Zealandia. But Antarctica twice.
Yep.
So that was a big deal. Again, pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
But in my day-to-day, I bring the money in, I send the money out. And that's what we do in finance, without getting overly complicated.
Well, now don't forget taxes.
Oh, no. I've got my department is full. I'm not looking for new employees. Everyone wants to be involved with the taxes.
I know. Keenan
Anyway.
calls me up at home and he goes, I am so excited. Today is
my
tax
gosh,
day.
tax
Tell
day.
me.
Yeah, pretty exciting. Anyway.
All right. Thanks, Keenan.
Awesome.
And in here, I was going to say, here's the president of our company, John Myers, but he's not. So,
I'm just a techie trying to get people working.
So John gets our computer stuff back up and running when it's down. Normally Jim Labe is here. We'll find him somewhere. This is El Presidente's office. You come here for good stuff and maybe to get your butt reamed, but no. Jim's a good guy. We have a very tight team here. Well, let's go somewhere that I think is really fun, production. This is all finished goods here, getting ready to go somewhere. All right, you slackers. Hey, so that's Roger, and this is Lou, and this is production. Showa is back there somewhere. There's Rob. Hey, Rob. Who else is here? And Showa. Isaac. He's got his headphones on. He can't hear anything. Lou.
Yeah.
So, my betting buddy. This is the criminal in the organization here. Keeps everybody in good betting spirits. So, do you want to run us through how this works? Maybe we could follow you around. I'll just, since I got the microphone, I'll stay close to you.
Okay. Well, it's pretty simple. I mean, we could walk around, or I could show you, then we could walk around.
Yeah.
So basically, we get kits pulled every day, and
I'll show you kits here in a minute.
We just have a schedule. Basically, we start here these are operations. So over here you got operation 10, 20, 30, 40, and these guys go down the line. Somebody starts with 10 and it gets passed down to 20, and so
Now,
on
are you
and so
building products or sub-assemblies?
on. We're doing, it depends what product. So power, we do a lot of sub-assembly work, and then it goes same thing, it's 10, 20, 30, 40, and then our other products, audio, whatever, I mean, that's just...
Well, let's go take a look over here and just see what...
It's so random. I mean, it's always a mix. There's audio, there's power, there's, you know, some days
Yeah.
it's audio, some days it's power. It's a mix of whatever, you know. So right now we're doing
I can see it's a 1200.
1200. So we got, this is basically the final stage of Rob's just
And this
really
is
wrapping
Rob.
everything up.
So, and Rob, you're working on a M1200. So what are you doing to it?
I was up 40. We put the last of, like Lou was saying, it's chopped into like kind of 4 big pieces, and we do a lot of the wires, the housing bottoms, kind of give it a color, and fight through aesthetics to try to make things look nice.
Oh, yep.
That is not nice looking.
Yep, can you see that? So Rob has, with that little arrow, has identified a cut in the silk screening. So that has to be sent back, cleaned off, re-silk screened, repainted. Just little stuff like that the guys take care of.
A little less than perfect, and we don't want to send that out.
Yeah.
And that filters from 10, 20, 30, 40. I mean, guys will catch it at 10 and it'll stop whatever needs, whatever is bad coming down the line. I mean, we try and make it as flawless as possible.
Yeah.
So it goes
The
through.
really good thing about this system is it's all like an inspection step, if you think of it. Each step is like, he gave me something. Not only I got something to do, but part of my something to do is to make sure what I got is pretty good. So by the time it gets through, it's
You've had a
usually-
number of eyeballs on
Yeah,
it.
it's in pretty good
absolutely.
shape.
Yeah.
It's in pretty good shape.
Awesome.
So we can go to the beginning.
Okay. Yeah, let's go to the beginning.
Kind of the end. But you can see here, like, this is already done stuff too, so this will be ready for the guys just to grab and go into process 30.
Yeah, so this is a heat sink like we had shown you out in the other. And these little clamps on here are eventually going to hold down transistors. So this strip here is an insulating strip. And these, they'll put these on. They'll put the transistors in here on the circuit board and then clamp them down because the transistors get hot. And that's why this heat sink is there. And so you want to push the heat onto this sink so that it evenly distributes the heat away from the transistors, because if they get too hot, they'll die. And so, again, we were talking about how long it takes to make a product. It seems simple, but someone had to design this clamp. This clamp is not something you go down to alfalfas and buy. I mean, you got to design the thing, you have to approve it, you have to get it painted, you got to punch it. I mean, on and on and on. Just every little detail. There's so much stuff that goes into even a simple product that, screws, springs.
Yeah, I mean, if this is inside of a unit, which is a P3, and my guys, we tighten everything down, and let's just say they forgot one of these screws untightened, and I go to plug it in, and I didn't catch it either, it's going to ruin the entire unit, and we got to start from scratch. So it's really important for us to really take a second glance at what we're doing and make sure it's all done and put together correctly. So
it's a lot of stuff.
A lot of little things for sure. So this would be op 10. This is Showa.
This is Showa. Say hi, Showa.
So basically we get the chassis here, just raw, just the chassis. And this is all from the beginning. So Showa does a lot of the button work at Station 1. A lot of the small tedious stuff that goes into op 10 here, and really just the beginning of everything, and then it trickles down to where Rob was at and kind of more of a completed product. So,
and our second biggest criminal here is Roger. What are you doing, Roger?
So I'm testing a sprout. Just basically testing the USB and the optical, just make sure it's got stuff coming out of it, and just checking it for make sure the quality's good on it.
And you can see there's another audio precision, and we've got a couple here. Lou's got an audio precision. Yep.
I can pretty much test anything here.
Yep.
So yeah.
Yep. He just tells the audio precision via the screen what it is he's testing. It's all been set up by the engineers, and it automatically goes through and tests hundreds of parameters, how loud it is, with the channel balance, the distortion, the noise level, on and on and on. And if something gets caught, boom, it stops. He goes out and somebody fixes it. Either the production guys can fix it, or it goes back to an engineer for them to fix it. Yep. So this is where we build everything, and then burn-in racks over there. And so maybe let's go over here and look about kitting.
Yeah. So this is this is part of the kit. So I mean, we get a schedule, and then it has all of our materials, our boards, our metal, our wires, and we break them down into 10, 20, 30, where we divide them everywhere where they all go.
Right.
And the guys who are in the stock room, they pull these kits for us, and they're usually 2 days ahead of kit pulling for us. So these guys will blow through 25 units in a day if we have everything ready to go. That way we always have backup here, like kits being pulled, so it all works out.
I'll
for
take
the
it.
line, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, sir.
Yeah, for sure, guys.
We'll go look at some kit building over here. Okay. So this area is where the planners who put the kits together keep track of all the inventory, because as you can imagine, with all the thousands of parts that we have, as I said before, if you start running low on one or something, it's panic time. And we have to have products coming out the door because we ship a lot of products all over the world. So Catalina normally is sitting here, and she is in charge of all the inventory, how it gets kitted and packed up. And these are the kits here. So these carts are filled up, and production planning will tell us, hey, we want to do 20 of these and 30 of these and some BHK, this and that. And so the guys who pull the kits build it up, put the parts onto the carts, and off we go. So come on in here, I'll take you in a room that you never get to see. This room is off limits to everybody except me and Jim and the planners. So come on inside, you get to see something that people don't normally get to see. Hey, Zeus. That's Jesus. And in here, we keep this locked up because this isn't just chassis parts. This is some of the most expensive parts at PS Audio. This is sub-assemblies and boards, wiring, really expensive stuff. So, and we have to keep track of these. So remember when we were out, these are anti-static bags. So everything that comes here is sensitive to static electricity. So we use these anti-static bags. And you remember that heat sink and I showed you with the clamps on it? So these are the transistors, and those slide under, and the clamps go down on top of these. And then these metal tabs, these plates on here, is where the heat goes into the heat sink. So the heat sink is here, and the little clamps go down on top of that. And that's how we keep the heat away from this board. So we have to keep very strict tabs on everything in here. And if I need a part, I wouldn't dare come in here and take anything because I'll get shot, even though I own the company. And more of that, and you can see in here, and this is where they build the kits. So we also do AudioQuest cables, and here's our AudioQuest cable stack. But this is just kind of cool because you never get to see anything like this. And even on a normal tour, I don't normally bring people in here. So let's, do you want to go back this way? Yeah, we'll go back this way. Okay. And for something different, we'll go past here. And we're back out into the wild. So the last thing I'll show you out here is the packing area. So these are finished units. They've been through test, they've been through burn-in, everything's ready to go. And now the boys are going to take each one of these and they're going to package them. And we put a lot of time and energy into our packaging. So this is Manny. And Manny, what are you packing up here?
A P20.
Oh. Now these guys are strong. This P20, how much does that thing weigh?
60, 55 to 60 pounds.
Yeah. For a P20? No.
Yeah.
That weighs close to 80, doesn't it?
Oh yeah. I got confused with the P15. The
Yeah.
P15 is 60 pounds, and this is like 80.
80.
5.
Yeah.
90.
I mean, it's enough that I can't, weak old man here can't do it. Manny just picks that up and just, yeah.
Good workout. Good workout. Sure.
And everything is cleaned and inspected. This is the last inspection place before it goes into the box. So let's go upstairs and I'll show you our sales area. Now normally this would be jammed full of people talking on the phones. This is where we do customer service, we do sales. There's a sales meeting office over there. And many of you have probably seen, if you watch my videos, our museum. But this is the PS Audio Museum. And it starts all the way over this side. I see there are some products that are missing. I probably ran off with it. This is the very first product we ever made. That's a PS Audio Phono stage. And Stan and I built that by hand. And by that I mean we silk screened it, we bent the metal, we cut the metal. I cut these on my home table saw, hand oiled them, built everything inside of it, put the little rubber feet on. It was just Stan and me. We just did everything ourselves. And that was the very beginning of PS Audio. And from there, over the years, we have grown and built all of these products up until today, and that's been close to 50 years. Started in 1974. Not that good at math, but so. Oh, and this is during the pandemic when musicians were really struggling. We donated part of our profits to help musicians, and we got up $18,400 to Music Cares, which is kind of a cool thing, trying to help guys out. So this is the part now we're going to go to that everybody comes here and they tolerate all the stuff I've just shown you so that they can come in here and see this. These are our music rooms. This is music room 1, and this has been kind of torn apart, unfortunately. Normally we have a couple of cool speakers in here and we have some stellar products, kind of our living room setup, if you will. In here, so this area is always in a state of flux. This is where we design our loudspeakers. And this is one of the prior models of loudspeaker for the FR30, which a design that we did one more iteration, so it won't look like this. It'll look very different, and I'm not at liberty to show it to you right now because it's top secret stuff. But this is where we build the speakers, we voice them. We don't actually build them here, but we put them together. We design the crossovers, we make sure they sound the way we want. So this is just a really cool listening room that's, again, always in a state of flux. But this is where the speakers are designed. And behind us are my former partner and mentor, the founder of Infiniti, Arnie Nudell's personal pair of loudspeakers that we were fortunate enough after his passing to have. And those are an amazing pair of loudspeakers. But come on in here, I will show you the room everybody wants to see. It sounds like somebody's already using it. So can we put that on hold? There we go. There we go. All right, so this is the Irs room. This is why everybody comes here. This is my wife, Terry.
Hello.
And this is Giselle, our executive producer at Octave Records. And they're listening to something. Sounds like one of those new Octave recordings. So come on in, let me show you, we'll show you around, if you ladies don't mind. So this is the Infiniti Irs 5, one of only 58 speakers ever made. And Infiniti sold these in 1985, and they went to about 1990 when they stopped making it. There's 132 drivers in here. There's 24 tweeters. These are ribbon tweeters on the front, 12 in the back. There's 12 mid-ranges here, so that this entire wing, which is what they're called, and they're called wings because of these rosewood sides that allow the sound to project out without wrapping back around, because they are dipoles. And many of you know what a dipole is, and for those that don't, I'm going to explain. A dipole is a two-way loudspeaker. In other words, if we come back here, in an area most people don't get to see, you can see that these speakers are not boxes. So typically when you see a speaker, you see a box, and the sound is captured and only comes out the front, but doesn't come out the back. In a dipole, sound comes out the front and the back, and the back is out of phase with the front. So if the two waves hit each other, they cancel, and that's what these big wings are for. We then have the woofer towers, and you can see that with the woofer towers, you've got 6 1,000 watt mono amplifiers, 1,000 watts for every single driver in here. So you've got 6,000 watts and 6,000 watts of bass power. And that makes up the Irs system. It's powered here, soon to be BHK 600s, but right now they're BHK 300 monoblocks, all P20s. And I think this is one of the more amazing sounding rooms ever. And we use this as a reference. So everything that is made at PS Audio comes through this room to make sure that it sounds the way that we want. And I'm going to guess that what you, my friend, would like to do is have a listen. Why don't you just grab what we call the hot seat, and I am going to turn the lights down low and give you what you've been waiting for all along, some music.